You're listening to the audio-only version of Cocktails with Cav, the popular video cast streamed live only on X. Follow us here on Spotify or on X at Cav Literature. Happy Thursday, everybody. I hope everybody is having a great week. Oh, we're ready to slide into the weekend with another episode of Cocktails with Cav. I can't believe it. 20 episodes. Jeez, I'm so excited. This is our 20th episode. I can't believe it. And we're going to have many, many more with great indie authors, entertainers, and artists. I can't wait for what the future holds. This is going to be great. Well, before tonight's show, with an incredibly talented author from Phoenix, Arizona, we're going to do a little quick housekeeping. Check our merch page. QR codes take you straight to it. A lot of great swag. Great way to support the show. And as always, our QR code up in the corner of the show all show long takes you straight to the tip function. Anybody who supports the show will get a free copy of my first short story in my series on Barnes & Noble. I'll get that QR code, that promo code out to you. So please consider supporting the show just so we can keep all this fun up. That's for sure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please, episode 20, help me welcome to the stage the incredibly talented author, Eden Robbins. Eden, how you doing? So glad you could finally join us on Cocktails with Cav. So happy to have you.
Thank you. I am really happy to be here. I appreciate you inviting me.
And you're out in lovely Phoenix, Arizona, huh?
I'm in the desert, yes.
Oh, well, that's great. What's the weather like? We're always hot here most of the time, but it's chilled out a little for Mardi Gras.
Yes, it's actually been in the 70s here. It's been kind of nice, a little warmer than normal, which we enjoy. And as you may know, we don't have much in the way of humidity here. And I know you have tons of humidity there.
Yeah, that's us.
Yeah, so I have to say it's been really nice. It's going to cool down again, but it's been wonderful. Like I said, it's been the upper 70s, which was fantastic for us the last couple of days.
Well, yeah, we always have lots of moisture, down here in New Orleans, but what are you having for cocktails with Cav tonight?
I've got a nice G&T, nice and refreshing.
Oh yes, that's crisp in nice 70-degree weather.
It is. How about you? What do you have?
Oh, my standard whiskey and 7. It's
okay.
My grandmother introduced me to it when I was 7. It was. No. It's a New Orleans thing. You wouldn't understand. Oh, geez. Well, I tell you, Eden, like I said, I was so happy you agreed to come on as a guest. I've, gotten to know you on X and just, so much of your great work that you have on Amazon and that I wanted to talk about and share with the audience. But we like to get to know you. Tell us a little about you and how you got to where you are and your prolific, creations you've made.
Sure. Well, I'm glad you used the word creation, because I think when people say, what do you do? I kind of say, well, I consider myself a creatress. I really like that word, and I think that's suitable because I love to create, and I've always been a person who just loves to create in all different kinds of ways from the time I was a child.
Right.
So it's just part of me, and I love it, and I think creativity for me in general has been sort of a companion for me most of my life, and it really was only in my later 20s that I realized that I could do this fun stuff called creativity as a formal career, which is pretty exciting. But for a long time, I really didn't realize that that was going to be possible for me. So I wrote my first book, and I can talk more about that later. And it was sort of after that book was done that I realized that I wanted to do this. This was my thing. And so, yeah.
That's awesome, though, because, creations, just to make something, I think I saw a meme once that said, your work is has to touch you first, and it's up to everybody else to figure out after. And
definitely. It's a very private thing, right?
Sure.
I mean, you've written, you have some short stories out, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah. My pages make the book, my delusions of grandeur, to have an entire collection of my childhood problems that make the book.
Which are probably very fascinating for people to read, I would imagine.
Well, what other kind of creations?
Oh,
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I was just going to say, I think you get it as far as the creative process, because you have written. It is a very private process. But meanwhile, there's sort of this dichotomy these days, especially where, the private process of writing and creating ends up blossoming to a very public process, right? When trying to get one's work out to other people and sort of express that creativity in a very public way. And I know for me personally, that was a hard transition. I loved being just holed up in my office or my room, wherever I was writing, and loving that sort of magical creation process as almost like an asylum for myself. But then when I learned, well, okay, now I have to get out there and talk to agents and talk to editors. If I want to get my work out there, I have to talk to people, right?
Yeah, sure. And I think that's the hardest part is because you're right. For me, it's like you say, that privacy of the creation process, that you're just deep within yourself, drawing things out. And then to have to suddenly become the extrovert and market, or, it takes its toll.
Yeah, it is really interesting. And I, strangely enough, my education was in business marketing. And I will admit it was sort of a random choice, because I didn't know what I wanted to do at the time. I was in college and I needed to get a degree, or I felt like I needed to have a real job. And so I ended up getting a degree in business. Yeah.
Yeah, I majored in underwater basket weaving here and frat parties. That was
it sounds a little bit more fun than marketing, I'm going to be honest with you. So anyway, yeah, I think the marketing is a big part of it. And I'm thankful now that I did have the education in marketing, but I don't really feel like it helped me sort of boots on the ground. I mean, I think marketing a creative piece of work is, it takes a different kind of mentality, because it goes again from this private, my baby in private, to here's my baby in public. And can I have sort of this thick skin about it? Can I put it out there and say, let this out, let people look at it. And of course, what they think about it is their business, but it also is now my business, right, in a different way. So,
yeah, and hopefully people aren't ready and willing to say it's an ugly baby, right? That's like in real life.
Hopefully.
Hopefully not.
That's true. Yeah. But I will say, there's obviously the whole process of getting the work out also does involve people telling you your book is, or your baby is ugly, however you want to say it. And that's part of it. Not everyone necessarily is going to love the work, and people have different perspectives and different ideas of what they want, especially agents. They have set ideas about this is what's marketable, perhaps, or this is in particular what I'm drawn to as an agent or an editor. So there's always the subjective part of it. It's not an objective process as it may seem, because there are people involved with their own personal perspectives, right?
Yeah. Well, do you find that, when you speak of agents, because, obviously I have a love for the indie industry and, versus the traditional route and the legacy publishers and what have you. But do you find that phase frustrating? Because as you say, the work is personal to you, and then to have someone step in and hack the head off, Yeah.
Yes. Do I find that frustrating? I think at first I found it really, I found it very kind of hurtful personally. I just felt hurt by it. I'll be honest with you. The first time I had I remember an agent I met with at a conference at the very beginning, and she was lovely. It was fine. She just wasn't interested in what I wrote. And there was just something about that bothered me so much that I walked out to my car and I just cried for 15 minutes. I mean, I just was sobbing. And it's, but I think I needed to do that and kind of get over myself a little bit and just say, not everybody is going to like what I do. And that's okay. They don't have to, it's just finding, whether it's a publisher, whether it's an editor, agent, finding that good fit for me, someone who likes what I do and who I believe in and feel like they can present my work in a way that feels good for me. So I don't know I think frustration, I wish it could happen faster sometimes,
right.
That a publisher would be interested or that sort of thing. But it really is something that I think has to be a good fit. And I want it to be a good fit on my end too. So. Well,
and that's an important piece of advice for all the would-be creators out there and current creators is you're right. Don't be in such a rush that you can't find a good fit for you, in your work. Because, obviously you're going to have editing issues, and even the best writers get hacked away by the editor, the ogre, as we like to call him. But
absolutely, and that can be a tough process working with an editor too. My middle son is a writer as well, and he has a series he's been working on for years, and he finally worked up sort of the courage to hire someone through, I think it was Reedsy, an editor to help him kind of go through his work and evaluate it. Because it's one thing to have your mom look at your work, and it's another to have, an editor look at it, right?
Oh, yeah. So, like any child, right? We don't know anything. We never have.
Exactly. And so he finally put himself out there knowing, that, hey, not everyone's going to like what you do, and you're going to get feedback that might be a little challenging for you to accept and to work with. Not that you have to accept everything an editor, suggests, but there's going to be stuff there that takes some time to work through. And it's really, I think, a very important process as a writer to go through, to be able to have a relationship with an editor, to be able to get over myself, and to kind of trust the process and also trust the editor I'm working with that, know that we both have the same goal in mind, to make this the best book possible.
Yeah, that is the key. And just plug away at it, right? It's a process. Yes. It's definitely a process.
It is a process.
Yes. Oh, well, geez. What, are you originally from Phoenix out there in Arizona, or?
No, originally I'm from Boston, actually. But
you're one of those people. No, I'm my son lives in Boston now. That's what I tell him all.
Does he? You're one of those now.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, but
it's a great city. I love Boston.
Oh yeah, it really is. We have fun going visit everybody every time we get to go up. Except I make him come down here in the winter because I'm
smart.
I'm done with it. We just had a cold snap here in New Orleans a couple of weeks ago. I was done with my one-day free trial of Alaska. I was.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's been cold this winter. It's been cold. A lot of places really have struggled. So yeah.
Yeah, I've had my fill. That's it. Well, golly, Eden, tell us. I don't know if you can see it. Let me see if I can get it up on the screen for you, just so you can see. But let's talk about your work, because it is. I've got your Linktree pulled up for the viewers.
Yes.
And it's Linktree at Eden Robbins, and if anybody hasn't seen it yet, I'll show on the banner up top. That QR code for Eden will take you straight to her Linktree. But, we'd love to. I see you have a lot of great work on your Linktree, including, your blog and everything. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your other work besides your books before we get into your great novel that came out last April that I want to talk about. And but yeah, tell us a little bit about your other creations first.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. So I do have a blog, and it's called Living the Path. And it's sort of all about my journey to kind of evolve personally. So it's sort of about like, how did I evolve and grow during some challenging times in my life? And I started a movement called A Wholehearted Me, which is also, you'll see that on the link tree, and the blog is associated with that. And the interesting part for me to talk about with that is the Wholehearted Me movement started after I got a divorce, and I was in a very interesting place. I had published several books at that point, and my ex-husband and I moved in different directions, and we got divorced. And I was suddenly in a place where I couldn't write. I just couldn't. I think we had 3 children together. So that obviously leaves a mark,
right.
And it creates a different situation. And so I was at a place where I just couldn't seem to get back into completing a book and writing anything really substantial. And it was a very scary, scary moment for me, because as I had mentioned earlier, creativity has been my companion for my whole life. And to have it sort of seemed to not be there was frightening. To not be able to access that was frightening for me.
Yeah, well, there is definitely a lot of what's the phrase I'm looking for? There's definitely a lot of gears in the machine going into creating something, and when you have a lot going on, it can throw a wrench in the works. Yes. That's for sure.
For sure, absolutely. And so it did. And what happened because of that, I think, is for a long time, I just thought my creativity had dried up, and I was sort of having this dry spell, which, by the way, lasted about a decade.
Wow!
But
wow.
it really wasn't a decade of a dry spell. It was. Looking back now, I realized that I was still creating, but I was doing something different. I was sort of creating my life at that point, because my life, substantially changed, and so I needed to figure out, well, who am I now? What do I want to do with my life? How do I want to live? And I was changing and growing. At that point, I also started, I got involved with the 12-step program. And that was something I really needed in my life. And I think that changed my life substantially as well, and helped me sort of deepen that evolution that I was having personally. And so A Wholehearted Me kind of blossomed and bloomed out of that. And my continuing recovery, 12-step recovery, blossomed from that. And so the blog is sort of a kind of a telling of what's been going on during that time period for me.
Right. And I'm looking at the Wholehearted Me section of your link tree, and it is, when you say, welcome to your journey back to you, that's an interesting perspective about it, and it's true. It's and have you found kind of in that interim your work changed? The caliber, not the caliber, but the tone of the work. Did you find it changed it a lot?
I think both changed, the tone and the caliber, to be honest with you. I think that anytime, people always say, where do you get your inspiration for writing? Well, I get my inspiration from life. I mean, generally speaking, just living life. And of course, when different things happen, trauma, dramatic events, things happen in my life, I learn from that. Just as joyous, wonderful things can change my perspective. And also deepen who I am. And so, yes, I think that my writing has changed dramatically from those books that I wrote before my divorce to the ones that I'm writing now. And by the way, the dry spell, which really wasn't a dry spell, did eventually end. I just want to say that. And,
right.
And as I continued to evolve and sort of find my place and find me and get back to me, the writing and the creativity resurfaced, and it became very much a part of me again in that way, in the writing sense.
Yeah, and I tell you, talking about your writing, it's just like I said, I mean, you have some lovely works on Amazon, obviously. Your Christmas Story, the Happily Ever Holiday, True romance. You're a romantic, aren't you, Eden? That's what.
I am a romantic in lots of different ways. I am. Yes, and I love romance. I love writing about romance, and yes, I had a fun little Christmas anthology come out. I love the holidays, and I love myths. Myths are very fascinating to me, all different kinds of myths, because I think there's so many valuable lessons and perspectives that we can gain from looking at myths and what they're trying to say. And so Happily Ever After is sort of a collection of some different myths, and also with a little holiday twist. So they revolve around the holidays as well. And it's modern day romance with this sort of mythical holiday twist to it. So it was so much fun. And this was actually the first book that I self-published in this way through Amazon. I had never done that before, so it was a learning experience for me. But it was something that I just really felt like, I want to do this. This seems like it would be a lot of fun. So that just came out in November, and I'm very happy with the way it turned out, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and do you prefer the self-publishing experience you had to, like we talked about earlier, the traditional route, which can obviously have its moments,
Yes. Well, I mean, I think there's pros and cons to both. As I said, I think working with an editor or with a publishing house is a different experience, and a learning experience and a growth experience, and I liked that. And publishers do help. This publisher that I'm working with, Champagne Book Club, or group rather, they do some marketing for me, which is nice. And so I kind of like that too. So I think for me, for the future, I probably will do both. I think I like both, and in different ways for different reasons.
Yeah, and I think I find that's the consensus, is that the marketing, as a task for creators, indie creators, is that's the one you have to take the bull by the horns, obviously. So.
Very, very much so. Very much so. Even with a publisher, especially with a small pub, I'm with a small pub, Champagne Book Group, fairly small. And so even though they do some marketing, I still take it upon myself to do marketing, because I think it's great. And there's so many, compared to when I was writing books before my divorce, so ages ago, there's so many more options and avenues for marketing now that are just amazing. And I think that I love that. I love that about where we're at right now. Social media and that sort of thing.
I think with technology proliferating, it really has been an assistance to be able to get your work out in front of people, and hopefully everybody out there takes advantage of learning the ins and outs of all the different platforms you can utilize and techniques, because it's an important skill to have in this craft in this day and age, but you're right, technology's helped immensely,
Yes, definitely save some time. So yeah, and then Gold, Heart of a Warrior was the book you mentioned, came out in April.
Right. That's the biggie.
Yeah.
That's the one I was, when I messaged you, I was like, Eden, please come on and talk about our, let's talk about your series you got a second one in the works, I believe you had said, right?
I do. So Gold, Heart of a Warrior came out in April, as we've said, and it came out as an ebook. It'll actually be out in March in print. So next month. Excuse me. So I'm excited about that. And then the next book in the series is called A Warrior's Peace. And that actually is due to come out in ebook, I believe, in March as well. And we're working on the cover right now of that. I'm having so much fun with that. That's a whole different story. But I love my cover artist, and she's doing a fantastic job. So that's a lot of fun too. But Gold is also it revolves around a myth. And it is the myth of Pandora, the myth of Pandora's box. And it's all about a young woman who, when on her 25th birthday, she comes to the realization through some different events that occur that she's actually Pandora reborn. And she's been given a second chance, per se, to make up for opening that jug of woes that send misery and all sorts of other things out into the world. And so it's kind of like her story of who Pandora was, as well as what this young woman ends up doing in response to discovering she's Pandora, and then all of the baggage that ends up coming with that, because there is a lot of baggage that comes with knowing that she's Pandora.
I can imagine so. That's
yeah. Yes,
that has to come with baggage.
For sure. And I love it. I love this story. I love the fact that it is a story of a personal evolution as well, and the story of sort of a woman who perhaps was given a bad rap and maybe has an opportunity to set things straight. And so this is her story, and how she kind of grows and evolves into Pandora and what that really means.
Oh, wow. It sounds like a fascinating story. And come on, give us a scoop on Cocktails with Cav. What's the next book coming out in March, without giving away too much? But
yes, so A Warrior's Peace is the second book in Gold, in my Gold series. And it's a continuation of Dora, who that's her modern name is Dora. She is Pandora. Sort of a continuation of her ongoing evolution, and also her ongoing mission, because she's been tasked by the Fates and the goddess Demeter to rid the world of demons who are here to basically take over. And that's part of the deal that she was given by Zeus. Zeus said, you can come back to the earthly realm, but we have some conditions. And these are the conditions, and they're not so great. I won't go into all of them, but
that's right. Got to buy the book, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Got to have to buy the book.
Yes, and so she's trying to fulfill her destiny, and she's trying to also accomplish her mission so that she can have that redemption. The question is, does she really need the redemption? Is this really was it really all about her sort of being evil per se, or was there something else involved? And then along with the story, of course, there is the wonderful hero, Philoctetes, who is a Greek warrior, who is also a demon hunter and an immortal. And he also is joining Pandora to help her on this mission. And he has his own personal stakes involved, and his own tasks that he's been given that he has to deal with while he's on the earthly realm. And what's kind of cool in a strange sort of way is that one of the conditions that Pandora has to abide by in this lifetime is that she can't fall in love and find any kind of happiness through love. Or if she does, then
so she gets married when she comes back. No.
I didn't say that.
That's right. This is Cocktails with Cav. I get to take liberties.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to the second coming out. That's for sure. And you said March, right? We'll look forward there for sure. Golly, Eden. Well, I'll tell you what, I am so happy you decided to come on the show and share some stuff with us. And ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't had a chance to meet and engage with Eden on X, please go give her a follow at Author E. Robbins. Her handle's right there on the video underneath her screen there, and please go give her a follow. She's a fantastic member of the writing community. That's how I got to know her, and she definitely is just fun to talk to and fun to engage with. And by all means, please, all show long there's been the banner at the top of the show. If you have to rewind and get to it, just go ahead and do it. But there's a QR code. It'll take you straight to Eden's link tree, and by all means, go explore all of her great work. She has a newsletter to sign up so you can keep up with all her great releases, as well as her blog and Wholehearted Me that we talked about. But by all means, check out her books on Amazon, especially her Gold series, because that sounds like some fascinating stories, that's for sure. And we're definitely looking forward to A Warrior's Peace coming out in March as well, the second in the series. So
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me, George.
No, Eden, the pleasure has been all mine. Again, ladies and gentlemen, please give Eden a follow and post and share and like the show so more people can get to know Eden and her work as well. Eden, I appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of the evening. I know I'm working on mine, so I'm.
Thank you. I will. Thanks again.
All right. Well, off New Orleans and Phoenix, Arizona. Eden, cheers. Appreciate it.
Cheers. Thank you. Take care.